Hi, this is Mike Torsha. I want to welcome you to Live Well and Thrive, and I have a very special guest today. His name is Caviar. Sometimes he's a specialist. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you, Mac. Thank you for having me.
Now, you have an impressive story. I mean, from starting from when you were young,
Yeah.
I would love for you to share the audience where you started out
I
and where you are
know,
today.
It's no story, no secret. My story's open book. I grew up in the streets of Compton, and a lot of people know that my mentor, my big homie, so to speak, was Eazy-E. A lot of people know him, and that's my story. I just come up around the beginning phases of the NWA days, being in Compton and being a young kid, watching people where I'm from take this energy that was going on in the city at the time and bottle it up and put it into music. It opened my eyes up, to a lot of things and let me see, wow, you can really take your circumstances and turn it into a triumph. And that's it. Coming from Compton into now, 30 years later, being in this business, this whole music business, and understanding, learning the ins and outs of the business. So that's what makes me the specialist, because I've had to learn. I feel like I went to musical college. So that's
Life
one of my
is
things. Yes, yeah,
your college, right?
yeah.
Your
Life,
story.
You can't pay for wisdom. You have to go through things. You have to go through things to grow through things to
So now,
understand. So
the transition, though. I mean, you were around gangs and dealing drugs and crazy shit.
yeah,
And what
all of that.
made you gravitate to this when a lot of people saw all the money when you're a young kid and you're making all this money and driving nice cars and all this jewelry? But what made you get on track to really be a creative writer, singer? What made you get away from that darkness and go a different path?
That's interesting. It's an interesting question. There was a gentleman, a young man, a friend of mine who was in the neighborhood where I grew up at, and once again, he was all linked to Eazy. It was all connected, and he was a DJ. And at this time, his name was DJ Train, rest in peace. But at this time, we're young kids. We're young, 13, 14, 15. We're like we're lost at this time because there was no outlet for us in the city, in the inner city at that time. So I would see all other kids where we would be doing, just young juvenile stuff, gangbanging, being wild, selling dope, doing all the BS. I would watch this gentleman go on tour, and he would go and he would come back and he still was in the same predicament we were in, but then he had an outlet, and that's what sparked it in me to see the music, to see him, be able to transition in the same lane, basically. I'm like, how are you in the same area, the same ghetto that we're in, but then you can come and it doesn't affect you. He saw the light at the end of the tunnel, and that's what sparked me. His name was Train, once again, and that led me to saying, okay, out of all the little kids that were out on the block, gang banging, hanging out, once again, he would call me, him and Eric, they would call me, and I'm like, come here, ride my bike down the block, excited little kid, not still understanding how music was made, how things were done. Just, I know I loved music, and I grew up listening to music, of course, but I didn't understand how it was recorded and how the process of that. So that intrigued me. I would come into the room with him, and he had all this equipment, and him and his brother, he called him the Night Stalker at the time. He was a producer. He produced for Ice Cube and lots of big people. And I would see all these guys at their house. So you see someone at the house and you see him on MTV, you're like, yo, that's that guy. It was a lot of things that sparked me to say, hey, man, I can get up out the hood. I could do something to change my life. And then once I got a wind of that, I was, able to put it like this. I would hang out late nights, and they would be going to the studio, and they would be like, hey, instead of you being on the street corner, little dude, little homie, come holler at us. Hop in the car with us. Let's go. So now we're in the car, we riding. Yes, I'm smoking, I'm drinking, but they felt like they were saving me from just being on the corner getting shot at. So they would take me to the studio. Then getting in the studio, seeing now Eazy or Cube or Ren or Dre, however, Yellow, all these guys back in the day, Train them, going through records and seeing the 2-inch spin and seeing them go in the booth and understanding how music was put together. That was just the final spark to say, this is something that I want to do. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I don't understand it, but I want to learn this. And that was the first intro. And then I just start being a sponge and absorbing everything around me and understanding what was going to be my strong point, not knowing if I would be a producer or just an artist or, or what do you call that, a DJ. I just wanted to figure it out. But I thank God because that part of music actually saved my life. So I'm glad you asked me that question.
That's incredible because when I first started my career in the fitness industry, I was just an overweight kid going down to the YMCA,
Hmm.
and I tried to ask a few big guys, "Hey, that's good exercise to build big arms," and I'm like, "Eat it, kid. You see, I'm busy." And I just put my head down. I was sitting on the bench. I'm like, "What the fuck?" This guy comes up, Frank Marcello. That was
Hmm.
his name. It's just like, "Train to you."
Yeah.
He said, "Kid, you want to build big muscles?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Deal with those guys. I'll show you what to do." I got to tell you something. That one workout changed the path of my life like Train did for you. That little bit of guidance has gone a long way. And all he asked me to do is pay it forward. Because I don't know anything. Because I told him I don't have any money. He goes, I don't need any payment. Yours is to pay it forward.
It's
You
really
got what
good.
it takes. You got the
Yes.
heart and soul. You're going to be a champion bodybuilder. Well, I became a champion bodybuilder because he gave me that hand. He said,
Mhm.
let's go.
Yes.
Show you how to do it. So now
Sometimes
when
that's
you,
all you need.
so I evolved from it. But how did you figure out producing, being an artist? How did you now fine tune that now? Was there
That's
one
a
specific person that say, man, you got a voice, you got chops, you got writing bill? Was there one person that nurtured that, or you just were running with it?
Well, I go back to that. That's a good thing because you started out as an artist, just wanting to be a rapper. So once again with Train would put out these mixtapes, and that was my first intro for people to hear my voice. So his brothers start producing me, becoming my producer. Then we didn't have a manager, so I asked my dad to try to help me, help out with management and stuff like that. But that the part of me really wanting to do it and say, hey man, I'm gonna make this my life now. I'm gonna embody this. I'm gonna be the best. So I started writing, and then of course as a rapper, rapping. I wasn't really making money as a rapper, but I was getting my name out there. I was getting known. Um, uh, 187 up from above the law. KMG, who actually named me, who gave me my name, Cavi. You know what I'm saying? So that meant a lot because then you're trying to find your identity. So Cavi in the hood, Cavi meant dope, right? Like you're dope. So he was like, "You're a dope rapper. You got it. We gonna call you Cavi." And then watching cats like the DOC and like I say, MC Ren, seeing breath control and understanding the diction and how to have pocket and flow. Because I had the wordplay, but then I had to learn how to have breath control and be able to deliver. We weren't really doing a lot of punching back then. We were just really, you had to come from the heart and really be able to bust your whole rap. Then production comes into play. You start wanting to make money. I had a friend of mine, Wavy. He worked with Mac 10, worked with a lot of other people. He wanted to like be a manager. So he's like, "Hey man, I got this equipment." He had a drum machine. I took that drum machine and I stayed in the closet for like months learning how to work this drum machine. And I was like, okay, now, because all the beats that I always wanted to rap over, I would tell the other producers, Night Stalker, different people, Torture Chamber, all these guys, what I wanted. But once I got my hands on the drum machine, that was the transition. I'm like, hey, I know what I want. Now let me see if I can articulate it with this machine. Once I learned that, I'm gonna be honest with you, I was nervous. I started making beats, and then the transition from rapper to producer was nervous a little bit, not difficult, but more nervous because I had a DAT back then, a Sony DAT player, and I stayed in the closet. I made maybe 8 beats, and I never forget. I would go to the studio, and back then, Tupac still alive, so it was like Tupac, Coolio, Ice Cube, maybe in the other room. Mac 10 might be in this room. You never know who. Like all the West Coast, Spice One, like all the West Corrupt. Who you never know who you're gonna see. So we would be at Echo Sound, a studio called Echo Sound. And I remember being up there one night with J.O. Felony and a few other artists, and I was like, Cube and different people some nights would say, "Who got a beat? Who got tracks?" Nobody had tracks like that back then. So one night I'm like, "I got tracks." I had the heart this night. If they ask again this night, I'm gonna say something. And that was me, my intro as a producer. I said, "Hey, I wanna, produce. Cavi, you rap. Cavi, you ain't got no beats." And I remember like Gangster from the Comrades, MC8. There was a lot of people there. I push play, man. Boom. I push play. And to this day, it was a beat called "Till I Die." And I remember everybody around the room looking like, "Yo," bobbing their head, and I'm like, "Yo, they like my shit. They like my shit."
Wow.
And then, that's when I started selling my beats, my first beats, you know what I'm saying, to Who Banging and Mac and all those guys and Cube and Eight and everybody. And I remember not even knowing what to charge as a producer. I didn't know what to charge. My
Wow.
first check, how you spell your name? Okay, bam, 3,500. I was like, whoa, I'm a producer. So then I start thinking money-wise. I start thinking, oh, that's one track. So if I sell 10 of these, 3,500, and that just, it sparked me as a producer. I said, okay, wow, I can make my own music for myself and I can still sell music. This is how I want to live my life, because now I'm able to bring other people's visions to life with my music, so to speak. So I start teaching people how to be lyrically creative and lyrically responsible and stuff like that,
Now, when you say teaching others, are you now working with young artists like yourself when you first started?
Yes, I've done that throughout my career now. So I'm kind of like putting it all together, but yes, uh, helping kids from whether it's from Make-A-Wish Foundation or other. I've been on like many shows helping other kids. Me and DMX, rest in peace, my brother. From Doctor, what's up, brother? Dr. Phil, Dr. Drew, all those different things like that. That's the part what you just said, paying it forward, giving it back. That's what I feel like Train would want me to do. So all the times I've done that, whether it's helping donate music equipment to level 4-yard penitentiaries, things like that, that behind the scenes, a lot of people don't know you do things like that, but that's not really for the recognition. The recognition is from the people that are in there. That's like, hey man, I got life and I haven't touched the bass in 15 years. Now I can, they still got to do their time, but they get to do something that they love, and that's the good feeling, you know what I mean? So being able to give back, helping kids, teaching artists, like I say, how to be lyrically responsible and make real records,
That's beautiful. See, well, that's great is like, especially with these kids, they probably have so many beautiful stories. And guys in jail.
Yeah.
They have all these beautiful stories. So instead of being all like so stressed out, they can write. They can
Yes.
develop their beat. So
Yeah.
hopefully when they get out, if they get out,
Yeah.
they'll have something beautiful to pursue to get away from the dark side,
Yeah.
that messed their life and put them in jail or wherever maybe the kids be going down a bad direction, because that's what happens with kids. They have options.
They don't really know until one of the kids that I helped, his name is Rayvon, and Rayvon is still around right now. But I remember going to the show. We're on the set, with the doctor. I think this is Dr. Drew, and I had to tell. First of all, his mom remembered me from being a young gang member, so she said, "I want him to talk to my son because I remember seeing him, and now I see that he's did something with his life. So I would rather him talk to my son." So that's how I wasn't even supposed to be on the show, but the mom saw me with DMX and was like, "Yo, like." You should be on the show. So I was like, all right, I went and got a tie and came back to the set, whatever. But that was a real serious moment because rest in peace to DMX, but DMX did it for something to clean his image back up at the time. Dr. Drew, they did it for the ratings or for whatever, just to capitalize off that. But I had to tell them I can't just talk to this kid like that. I'm in this city. I'm gonna see this little dude again. So I can't play with it, right?
Yeah.
After the show was over, they gave him some gifts, gave him some stuff like that. And I donated studio time to him, got him on a song with DMX, things like that. But then they thought that was it. But this kid was looking at me like weeks later, like, hey, what's going on? I still walk home from school through the gang members. I still have to, like, my mom's still worried about me. So y'all did it for TV, but what about me for real? He was failing. He was in continuation. So I took it upon myself, with the blessings of his mom, to get in his life and help him get back on the right path, get his grades back up, to get back in school, all the way to graduating, to getting back in class, to getting his grades up, to actually walking the stage. What made me feel good this day, and I can honestly say this, and they say, what have you done good in your life? This is one thing that I feel good, because this kid, he felt that he was supposed to go to jail. He's like, my dad is in jail, my brother's in jail. I said, you all your mama got, man. Don't hurt your mom. Do you love your mom? That's why we did the show. He's like, man, forget that show. Fuck that show, man. Nah, man. We met for a reason, so I'm still here. Now, this is the day of his graduation. So I reached back out to the show, They didn't want to do it. And I'm like, hey, I picked this up after you guys left off. At least let's shine some light on where this kid's life is at right now. They didn't want to do it. I didn't want to let him down. So the day of his graduation, I took me, two of my camera guys, his mom. It was only a few people there, but when he saw me, and this kid's big kid, man. He's like 6'3", big kid, man. And he bear hugged me, man, and came and was crying and was hugging me, man. He was just like, I did it. And he's like, nobody gave a fuck about me, man. I love you. I love you. So to this day, I still keep in touch with the kid. He's now, he graduated, of course, went on, he had a kid himself, like young kids do, he working, but he wanted to pursue his music career, so he started doing music, and he's got connected. I connected him with a few different people, but now he's like working with, his peers like YG and some other people like that, and he's able to go on tour, and he's living a good life right now, so.
That's fantastic. Now, would you ever consider opening or being part of an academy for young artists that kids that want to be artists?
Yeah, of course, definitely.
Because, in Santa Monica, there is an academy called Pico Digital. It's a film academy that this one man put together. He got the state to finance it. Okay. So they have the kids from the projects. Okay. They get their car service, whether it's Uber or Lyft or whatever. Part of what they get compensated, and they pay each kid $2,500 a month to study the art of filmmaking. So whether it's editing or camera or whatever, they are learning the whole process. So maybe someone has a dream to be a director one day, or a producer, or actor, or editor, or whatever. So they're learning every aspect. I was always wondering, music is a big part of entertainment and filmmaking.
Yes, it is.
Maybe I could put you together with him.
That'd be awesome.
And maybe the kids that are in those different, foundations that need help, these inner city kids or whatever, maybe foster kids, could actually get paid to learn. Imagine what it'd be to feel like I am earning, not being a handout,
exactly,
and having you as the director of music. I'm going to see if I could set that up. I think it'd be beautiful, because the kids, when I first started my podcast, filmed my podcast. They were the first ones to do it, and they asked me.
Kids are super sharp nowadays, so that's like a beautiful thing to let them, to nurture them while they're young, because then that means they're only going to get better, And
that's why when it was, you were telling me all this, I was like, wow, because you have a gift. The way you speak, the way you deliver, you can feel the passion in your voice, and your story is incredible. They'll relate to you better than just some guy that's a professor, whatever. You've been where they are, and you created this yourself. You didn't take any handouts. People extended their hands, but they made you earn. They made you sit there. They made you listen to. All of a sudden, one day you had to beat, and then boom, you ran with it.
You said, we both said that we had that what Train was to me, what your guy was to you. Like, you have that person that lends that hand. You're not looking for a handout, but some people say you still also, there's no ego, and you have to humble yourself to know when to receive as well. And someone, like you said, well, we were blessed with a gift, but then we still had to pay it forward. So that was my thing, is I didn't get charged for some of the, I couldn't even pay for some of the things that I was been privy to see. Some things you're just blessed to be there, and at the time,
And you know what? It also, too, kids are also skeptical.
Yeah.
What? The end game here, because they're so, I guess, slighted and bad experiences. So that's why, with your style, your energy, and they know your story, when you say, I'm going to help you, they know you're going to help them. And that's why it takes a certain type of person that's lived your life to be able to win them over, because right away they're very skeptical. Like, what's this guy want? Why is he going to help me? Why me? Because they're beaten down so much. They're like, they feel they're not worth it. They have no self-worth.
It's like Professor X vibe. You find their superpower and help them find what's their superpower, and let them hone in on that, instead of having them do something else. That's a blessing in itself, to be able to see that in kids, because some people see things in you that you can't see. Then that's one thing with wisdom. You can't pay for that. But if I can help you not go down that path, or help you, go this way, and you see it in kids. It's like, hey, this is a kid. Just like people learn different. Some kids learn and can retain things from books, and some kids have to touch and physically, they learn that way. So It's about finding those superpowers within people,
And also too, I think it's great when you have someone that believes in you.
yes,
That's very powerful.
that's very
Powerful too,
powerful.
right? Now, tell me something. Do you have sisters, brothers? What was going on with your family? Grandmother, mother, father? Did you have a support system, or they were just kind of
Well,
standing the sidelines?
nah, this was like, well, of course, once I started doing music, as I got older, but like every other kid, urban kid growing up in the ghetto, like it's the same story. So I don't want to repeat that and be like, yo, but mom was on drugs, my dad was in jail, but that's really the real story for me. You know, it's an open book, and that's how I got to Eazy and all these guys, because I didn't have any guidance. So that's why I felt like they say, you know, God take care of babies and fools. I was a fool at the time, and he just kept his hand on me, man. And
So they became your family.
yeah, the gang, the people in the streets, and then hanging with a lot of older cats, getting wisdom. Like I said, because my pops was incarcerated, but he had a good reputation, and he would take care of people in there. So people would I would always hear about him in stories. So people would always come up to me and, you know, hey, you remind me of that, you know, just things like that. And then that led into you know, as a young man, you looking for yourself. You don't know, you just trying to find yourself. And I did a lot of things that I wasn't proud of. You know, like I say, idle mind is devil workshop. So I'm grateful that I found love in music at the time I did, because I was spiraling down, you know, going to the point of no return. I felt like Ray Vaughn. That's why I was able to connect with him, because I was like, well, shit, my pops in the pen, everybody going to pen. I'm out here, I'm doing whatever. I don't care. And that's, you don't live long. I didn't live long enough to want to care. You had to see some things, and then, you know, people tell you every day, like, people around you start seeing death. You start seeing people dying. I'm like, okay, what are you gonna get? What everybody say, dead or in jail. So it's like you hear the same story, but it's up to you to get it, because you can tell kids that, but if they not ready to get it, they gonna keep fucking up. You know what I mean? I was one of them, and it just takes something. That's why I try to, when I'm around kids, when I go to juvenile halls and I go to places and talk to these kids, I try and get them before they've went all the way over the edge, before they've done something that they can't come back from. Because now they're giving real life numbers to juveniles. They're not gonna get away. Your parents can't just come pick you up like back in the day. You know, oh, you can get slapped on the wrist. They're giving you adult time for doing things. And a lot of kids on blaming it on the drugs and things now too, because everything's all these synthetic drugs and all this other stuff that these kids are on. So they're emotional wrecks. They're already not guided by the right people, but then their bodies are full of all these toxins that they don't even understand themselves yet. So you got to catch these kids, and really, so being a mentor is not just saying, hey, I'm gonna give you some clothes and I'm gonna come see you now, and just, you got to really be hands on. So I think mentorship with kids, it should be a leader, a group of men that mentor other young men, because one man can only divide his attention to so many. You know what I mean? And that's the reality. It's like having so many kids. You can't really give yourself to all of them. You got to break it up in sections. That's why it takes, you know, two parents or even uncles. And then they say take a village. Other people may come in and give lessons when you don't want to hear your dad or you don't want to hear your mom. But it really does take that. And I think a lot of men my age that didn't get it are so broken still that they don't know how to lead either. So it's very few of us. My brother Jamal, who connected us, you know what I mean? It's people like us that, you know, young Measy, that get it in the community, and the people that rock with us, that our reach and our tentacles touch a lot of different people in different areas because of the energy that we have. But then you also can't deplete all your energy. You got to have your cup full to be able to help other people. So, right now it's a crucial time right now too, to catch a lot of, because the future leaders are right now. So if we don't catch some of these young men right now, the destruction, the path, because the world is changing every day. So if we don't catch some of these young cats right now, who knows, like, and teaching them real man skills, because those things are damn near out the door, like knowing how to live off the land and certain things, like a lot of that stuff is even out the door. So you know, you try to tell a young man, like, hey, I'm gonna teach you how to fish. A young man not gonna know how to fish nowadays. He's like, fishing a pole, like what? It's just like, nah. They got the VR on, and it's like it's AI, it's all this crazy stuff. But we really, it's in the real world, we got to touch the youth and give them some hope. Give them, you know.
Now, here's something I think I'd love to hear your answer on this. How do you feel how people are creating music with AI? They're not like you. in a room, jamming with their friends. They're using a computerized program to do music similar to so-and-so, and it does the lyrics, it does the beat, it does everything. Now, how do you feel about that?
I mean, it was interesting to see. It was fun. It was cute, but I personally don't like it as an original creator because that's once again, it's like taking your job and making it seem like it's dumbing it down when this is an art. So as much as I dislike it, AI can only copy something that you can do. They can't switch up and do an audible. You have to we really can still come from our heart. So that's the part that made me not as afraid of it, even though it's incredible. You see how they can do everything, and it's like, shit, this sounds like fucking Tupac just wrote that, or he just said that. I'm like, how are they doing that? They could take your voice. And so one part of me is like, nah, but then for people like the DOC, one of my favorite rappers of all time, he lost his voice in the beginning of his career. So for them to be able to use AI, I'm interested to see because his pen is very, very good. He's a very good writer. So that part of me like, ooh, that's cheat code, but I would love to see what they do with him if he's the one still writing his lyrics and he does it. I don't want AI to do it, but I would like AI to use his voice, if it makes sense. So I'm on the fence with that, but I really, really technically don't really like that because it takes away from creativity. It makes you feel like already everybody could participate because of technology, but now they're just dumbing it down even more.
I definitely agree with the dumbing down, but like, for instance, I remember going to a local market, Bristol Farms, and the register wasn't working. It had some kind of electrical problem. So I brought some groceries, small amount of stuff. It was like $14 or whatever. I gave the girl 20. She couldn't do the math. I had to tell her what change to give me because she was so used to punching it in and the register says what the change will be and she just pulls it out.
Yeah.
So I feel, especially with the kids, it's dumbing them down. And I don't think they should.
No reading, no writing anymore.
Well,
and writing helps you retain the knowledge. So now if you're just typing, you're not even, that's why they say write things down because you really you remember it. Once you write numbers down, you write in cursive, you write.
That's the one thing that I learned when I was a kid. If you're gonna remember it, to have a pad by your nightstand and a pen or pencil. And if you have some ideas that come into your head, write it. Then when you wake up the next day, you're gonna have more and more and more. And I do this to this day. I have a pen and pad in my nightstand because sometimes I come up with things. I'm laying there before I fall asleep, or I get up and I had an idea for something. And I really feel that process of actually writing stimulates the mind, the creativity. And I'm like you.
Even versus typing.
Yeah, it could help maybe clean some up, like with the Beatles. They took that song that John Lennon did, Paul McCartney, Then and Now, and it was just a rough demo. They finished it with AI having Lennon's voice, and it sounds great. It's a great song.
Yeah,
but I can see that. But
it cheats you out of knowing what's really real. Like, am I really? Because now you make a Michael song, make a Prince song. It's like, man, they're dead. Like it's kind of, man. Like it's like, because I heard one, and then once again, for me, I heard the DMX record. I'm like, I know him. It was my friend. He's gone. But then to hear them like AI making these verses, and I was just like, I don't know, nah, man.
Because it's not him either.
Yeah,
it's like
it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if it's blasphemy. I don't know if it's slapping the face. It's kind of like, you don't let this person rest in peace. I can see remixing vocals, like, oh, he left this over, remix something that he did. But to take this person's voice who's not here and have him say something that you don't know if he would even approve of. Like, that's the...
Yeah. And then you got to deal with the family. Well, wait
a minute. Yeah, now that's another thing. Well, the AI wrote it. No, who said it? Because anyone can go in. That's another thing that to me, I feel like the cheat code, not even just with the music with AI, but you can say anything. We were playing with it the other night, and my guy's like, anything you can think of, you say in that thing, and it just makes the picture for you. It comes like, so I think he said Bob Marley Yoda or something like that. And it's like all of these different versions of Bob Marley looking like a Yoda from Star Wars. It was like green. It was like, it was dope, but it was like the picture just came out. I said, so now do you take that now and can you go make these T-shirts with that? Like it's, I don't know. Technology is
well, that's where now it's getting technical. Now people don't realize this. So you have to also register with the government. You're actually digital, what they call digital duplicate. You have to register not only your image, but your voice. And if you don't, people can use it all over the world without even you know about
Well,
it.
you got
So people really, there is the government has I forget, I'll get it because I want people to have it, where you actually can register your likeness, your exact image, and your voice. Because I'm working with this company that does digital duplicates of people, so we can have people available 24/7 to be asked questions. I can make a digital duplicate of yourself.
I
Like
heard
we
of that
have,
coming. Wow.
we have Deepak Chopra, we have Dr. Oz, and some of these other people. But we're working with some musicians now and other artists where people can have the ability to talk to their favorite artist, and it's actually them because they program with questions, limited questions. So this way you have guidance because maybe there's an AI of you, but it's for people that's an educational tool that tells your story, gives advice, but it's your advice because you feed it the information, you train your digital
exactly
duplicate.
that. Yeah, yep.
But I'll get you that information because it's so important because you don't want someone duplicating you and just using another name. It's using your style beat, your feel. You know, steals your voice. But listen, we've got time. We got to move
That's
on.
deep
But
right there. Yeah,
I just
that's
want to
deep.
tell you,
That's
this
dope.
has been a beautiful experience.
Yes, it's been
And I want
awesome.
you to definitely come back, and I'm going to see about putting you together with digital, Pico Digital for
That's
the
awesome.
kids to see if maybe we can add a music component to the academy.
Yes.
And then if we do that, it's a beautiful thing. We can get kids from the different communities that need help
Yes.
and actually let them make a living while they're learning.
While they're learning.
Because it's different from, math and science. It's not even feel like you're studying,
Yeah.
like schoolwork. It's like you're being creative. You're being
It's fun. You're using another side of your brain too, so it's
Yeah.
definitely it's fun, and you can it's good to learn having fun, man. That's
Yeah.
one thing. It's like, oh, I'm learning something, but I'm having fun while I'm doing it. The kids gonna love that.
Beautiful, man. I just want to thank you.
You're welcome, Mike.
Please, thank you for watching Live Well and Thrive. I would love your support. Please subscribe. Thank you. Hey, thanks for watching this episode. Got great news. The merch is ready. You're going to see an array of all kinds of great products. Go to operationfitness.com. If you want to order anything, click on my store. Thanks for your support.